She let herself become eccentric in harmless ways. She took up bowling, which she learned to love, and founded the Brandon College chapter of a society dedicated to restoring the good name of Richard III. She memorized comedy routines from records and jokes from books. People groaned when she rattled them off, but she didn't let that stop her. And after a time the groans became the point of the jokes. They were a kind of tribute to Mary's willingness to expose herself. In fact, no one at the college was safer than Mary, for she was making herself into something institutional, like a custom or a mascot, part of the college's idea of itself. Now and then she wondered whether she had been too careful. The things she said and wrote seemed flat to her, pulpy, as though someone else had squeezed the juice out of them. And once, while talking with a senior professor, Mary saw herself reflected in a window. She was leaning towards him and had her head turned so that her ear was right in front of his moving mouth. The sight disgusted her. Years later, when she had to get a hearing aid, Mary suspected that her deafness was a result of always trying to catch everything anyone said. In the second half of Mary's 15th year at Brandon, the president called a meeting of all faculty and students to announce that the college was bankrupt and would not open its gates again. He was every bit as much surprised as they were. The report from the trustees had reached his desk only that morning. It seemed that Brandon's financial manager had speculated in some kind of futures and lost everything. The president wanted to deliver the news in person before it reached the papers. He wept openly, and so did the students and teachers, with only a few exceptions, some cynical upperclassmen who claimed to despise the education they'd received. Mary could not rid her mind of the word speculate. It meant to guess in terms of money, to gamble. How could a man gamble a college? Why would he want to do that? And how could it be that no one stopped him? It seemed to belong to another time. Mary thought of a drunken plantation owner gaming away his slaves. She applied for jobs and got an offer from a new experimental college in Oregon. It was her only offer, so she took it. The college was in one building. Bells rang all the time, lockers lined the hallways, and at every corner stood a buzzing water fountain. The student newspaper came out twice a month on mimeograph paper that felt wet. The library, which was next to the band room, had no librarian and few books. "We are a work in progress," the provost was fond of saying, cheerfully. The countryside was beautiful, though, and Mary might have enjoyed it if the rain hadn't caused her so much trouble. There was something wrong with her lungs that the doctors could neither agree upon nor cure. Whatever it was, the dampness made it worse. On rainy days, condensation formed in Mary's hearing aid and shorted it out. She began to dread talking with people, never knowing when she'd have to take out her control box and slap it against her leg. It rained nearly every day. When it wasn't raining, it was getting ready to rain, or clearing. The ground glinted under the grass, and the light had a yellow undertone that flared up during storms. There was water in Mary's basement. Her walls sweated, and she found toadstools growing behind the refrigerator. She felt as though she were rusting out, like one of those old cars people thereabouts kept in their front yards, propped up on pieces of wood. Mary knew that everyone was dying, but it did seem to her that she was dying faster than most. She continued to look for another job, without success. Then, in the fall of her 3rd year in Oregon, she got a letter from a woman named Louise, who'd once taught at Brandon. Louise had scored a great success with a book on Benedict Arnold, and was now on the faculty of a famous college in upstate New York. She said that one of her colleagues would be retiring at the end of the year, and asked if Mary might be interested in the position. The letter surprised Mary. Louise thought of herself as a great historian, and of almost everyone else as useless. Mary had not known that she felt differently about her. Moreover, enthusiasm for other people's causes did not come easily to Louise, who had a way of sucking in her breath when familiar names were mentioned, as though she knew things that friendship kept her from disclosing. Mary expected nothing, but sent a resume and a copy of her book. Shortly afterward, Louise called to say that the search committee of which she was chair had decided to grant Mary an interview in early November. "Now, don't get your hopes too high," Louise said. "Oh, no," Mary said, but thought, why shouldn't I hope?